Look at that, guys. Isn't that amazing how far we have gone? If you select all and share with 167 people, you can see here that the sun is now up here compared to being down there. We have borrowed your sun for quite a while. I have been at Gabversity, and Gabversity in 3 weeks, hello, has caught up. Aussie! It has caught up to Gabsmacked. What Gabsmacked did in 3 months, Gabversity has done in 3 weeks. It's actually been quite amazing. So those who are already pre-orderers of the book, you're going to know this section. And for those who haven't, I'm going to read it to you now. And it is the story of an undiagnosed autistic savant. And here we go. You're going to pre-order, my ladies and friends and gentlemen and boys and girls. You're going to pre-order this book because we are already 20% of the way there. We're going to get there, my friends. James Joseph, everyone. All right, here we go. This is towards the end of the book. Spending more time in the mountains overlooking Dad's old home was the launching... No, Ernie's already bought 2. You're set, my friend. All right. Was the launching pad into Syria. Being taught Arabic back in Sydney over the net by a teacher directly in the troubled land. I had to visit her. It was time to cross the Jewel's eastern border into Syria, legally. That's a comment because in the book earlier I was arrested as a Jewish spy having autism, not understanding that I was crossing into Syria without realizing, but that's part of the book. Driving over the great mountains only 20 miles from the Mediterranean. The blue and green would disappear behind me as I descended into the savannah of wines, Hezbollah supporters, and the hardened people that were less European and more Arab. Arabic graffiti now appeared on stone walls that had surely been there longer than the religions that these people held onto so dearly. European cafes had vanished, along with the cheap fuel burned getting me and this rental car over the mountains that had kept descendants of Phoenicians safe from invaders from the desert for centuries. No luck for these peoples, living in a poverty I'd only ever imagined existed in folk tales of Middle Ages. Jamil, the child that had been banished at 23, was back in a man's body, with an income he had been saving for a cause to keep him alive. Stopping and speaking to this foreign culture forced to coexist with its rich brothers on the other side of those mountains. I knew that I would still be chained to the capitalist world back home by my need to bring these people bread. Whether she had meant it or not, Edith, that's the lady who taught me how to appear human, had affected my brain software to come to detest its need to help others. A selfish need that I now knew would forever keep me on the other side of personal dreams, with indestructible glass in between. Just like Moses in the Promised Land, I guess. Continued my journey towards the anti-Lebanon mountains. Looping, welcome back. www.gofundme.com/Gabsmacked. And there you will put $50 down Australian, $50 Australian, and make it anonymous and put in your mailing address. And that way I can send you a signed copy of the book. We are 20% of the way there, and we're going to keep pushing until we get the 100. We're going to do it. I don't care what happens. We're going to get there, right? GoFundMe.com/Gabsmacked, right? And you'll get a signed copy, put in $50. You'll only get charged like 35 now because it's Australian currency, and Australian currency has gone up slightly. So sorry to the Americans, but those of you who already bought a book, you got it cheap. Well done. All right. I continue my journey towards the anti-Lebanon mountains, the naked landmass of only dirt that rose into the uncongested sky between the savannah of the Bekaa Valley and the deserts of the Syrian Arab lands. Nelly. The border was inefficiently busy. No computers, no PA system, no traffic lights, and no English. It was time to switch on the newly acquired native Arabic accent, acquired with the help of the very woman I was not far from seeing. I was forced to leave my rental at the Lebanese border and hitch a ride with a new race of people that made me seem a white, awkward giant. The sight of Damascus whilst heading down from the militarized zone was one of the most liberating feelings I can ever describe. Not only was I just in a land so far away from the nanny state of my birth, but I had just left it to travel back to 900 AD. One thing one must get used to when heading into inland Syria is the color, a yellowish brown, everywhere but for the sky, but for the blue sky, filled the scenery and the 5,000-year-old pavements, painted with the Israeli flag upon which people would walk and step on, and I would try to step around. Regular humans so similar to my Australian brothers and sisters, yet with so unintentionally horrifying behavior. Paradoxically, and yet perhaps expectedly, it was women riding scooters in the Western world that the people of this ancient land would find abhorrent. Isn't that funny? We think they're insane for stepping on the Israeli flag. They think we're insane for having females riding scooters. Amazing stuff. Internet cafes employed lookouts. Internet cafes employed lookouts for secret police after I had enjoyed a feast of a breakfast for less than the cost of a mini chocolate bar. Hugging locals after wowing them with what I explained to them was an iPhone. They had no idea what it was. I gave a dollar to a kid that seemed so malnourished that I was surprised he could extend his hand for the note itself. Within seconds, I was surrounded by children, as though I had dropped a breadcrumb before a flock of pigeons. I could help 20 children before I had to escape for fear of being trampled upon. This was wrong, so wrong, that returning to Australia brought with it the pain of loving clients that had no idea how horrific it was to want a flat-screen TV in the same way that the Syrians were ignorant of the horrors of Israeli flag trampling. Here we are concerned about buying the TV in the house, and these people are willing to kill each other for $1. Perhaps I could somehow employ more people in Lebanon, apart from my father's gifted and strong-willed niece, in order to use them as a launching pad into the humble Syria. The world had to change. The world could change. Perhaps I could do it. Straddled across two worlds. GoFundMe.com/GabSmacked. Put in $50 and you'll only get charged 40, I think, because it's 50 Australian. Make sure you put your donation as anonymous and put your mailing address so I can send you a signed copy of the book. Straddled across two worlds whilst stranded in both. My mind was nowhere near the Australian customs as they held me at the airport for 45 minutes. The rush of a past memory I did not know I had pierced through my right ear as it burrowed through towards my left. Gabi, it's very bad that you go to this country all the time. People will think very bad of you. My father, an almost neurotypical, could see what I could not. It was only halfway for humanity, for one to be innocent. A human must also be seen to be innocent. This is something the autistic doesn't see, that they don't realize, right? No way could the gaping hole in my brain ever understand this until it was beyond too late. But that is a story for another time. The tragedy would take the bread from the people, the power from me, the dreams of the clients I loved, and a story for you, Adrienne, once you have established yourself over the next few years. My final trip to Syria was when the rebels had taken over Damascus. All evidence of my Australian connection was quickly hidden as we passed a checkpoint of armed anti-soldiers and towards the news of bearded extremists slaughtering Syrian citizens far from Damascus. The very same bearded Syrians who would soon lead the rebel uprising and be depicted as the good guys by the leaders of good-hearted, naive American citizens. Thank you, Platinum. That still means a lot. It would be the last day I would ever see or hear from my anti-theist, anti-totalitarian Arabic teacher and good friend. GoFundMe.com/Gabsmacked. Make your donation anonymous so that you can put in your mailing address. It's $50 and it's $50 Australian because it works on Australian currency. And then I will send you a signed copy of the book. We are 20% of the way there in under 8 weeks. That is phenomenal. And we are going to get there. And then I'm going to get my passport back. And I'm going to do a tour in America as an Australian progressive confronting fake leftists. And you bastards are all coming with me. As long as you're comfortable. Come to SoCal. I will visit all of you and we will be doing book tours in every one of those places. And we will talk about autism, the Middle East, savantism, genius. All right, guys. I have to go back to Gabversity now, but we're going to go to Pennsylvania. We're going to go to Denver. Is that in Chicago? Denver, Chicago. I don't know why he's Chicago in my head. Or Colorado. No, sorry, Colorado. Denver, Colorado. That's right. Yes, that's where the very brilliant Ted Cruz ripped off the Trump team. Oh, that's so funny. All right, guys. We came for cannabis, my boy. All right. Awesome. We have to give a book tour whilst having cannabis. That's going to be one of the plans, the Rockies. I'm going to do the whole tour, my ladies and friends. And we're going to build our Periscope. Would love to see you right back. It's going to be good. 2 hours to all cities from here. I will rent a car and we will go I'm going to go everywhere. And some of you will come with me for some of the trips. I can see it happening now. It's going to be good. All right. GoFundMe.com/Gabsmack to anyone who hasn't done it yet. And let's push ourselves within the next month to get to 50%. And then it's going to be just crazy from there. Anonymous and address for signed book. Damn straight. This is awesome. I'm very excited. All right, guys. Talk to you very soon. I'm off to Gabversity. Peace out. Pro West. I'll drive.